where the drama starts. Lap 30, 8 laps to go. Sandobi hoping to take advantage of these lapped cars. Poleski dives onto the right side, very aggressive here. This is lap 4. The two Viceroys, Bill Frazier ahead of Matt Poleski. Frazier's off. Frazier hit the grass. You hit that tire wall, your day is done. Well, now it's lap 20. The Williams still trying to get around the Terrell team as he'll go around the lap car and around Mills at the same time. At the same time, he's got the inside corner. Will he ride the curb? Yes, he will. He will get him on the inside. Vito Maria leading us all into Moss's corner. Look at the beauty as his right side will cook the grass. Oh, a 180, no, a 360. Oh. Who will yield going into this corner? It's really not meant for too wide as it will be Gernald. Gernald will yield. Lots of smoke picking up from that Williams car. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. 26 of 30 now. Only 4 laps to go. He's going to get the run coming out the final corner. He's going to pull up side by side with the leader. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who is going to get there first? It's going to be...
When iRacing travels to Australia, instant panic, fear, and anxiety go straight into drivers' minds when they consider how they'll get around Mount Panorama. Thankfully for the drivers today, that issue has been taken care of, and it was taken care of by Tim Claessens leading every single lap last week from pole to victory. The other drivers must have fallen in love with the country, though, because we have decided to stay. That's my cue to welcome you to the beautiful Phillip Island circuit for round 6 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. Up in the booth today will be yours truly, Nick Schmeg, and I'm being joined alongside by Johan Vandenveld. Joe Peak is in the director's chair today, and as always, he'll be using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. You'll see all the action live today on the Global SimRacing Channel. After mentioning the fact that last week's Mount Panorama circuit and the Phillip Island circuit are in the same country, you tend to run out of similarities between the two tracks. Let's show you what kind of challenges the drivers are up against today with the GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Juhan Orlampi in the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around Phillip Island. As you blast down the front stretch, pull over to the left side of the track. Coming up to Doohan, it's going to be hairy if people get too wide into here. Even though there's no lifting, it's marginal and the draft is likely to make it happen often. You'll also be braking very quickly for the southern loop, which can be pretty tricky in itself. Drivers are likely to try to double apex it to ensure they get a launch out of here. And because you won't be lifting on your way through Stoner, that makes this an important run. The reason for that is the heavy braking into Honda. This is one of the most popular passing spots on the lap. It's a sharp little hairpin, but it's pretty easy to outbrake yourself into here, so heads up. After that, it's a short burst to Siberia. You'll be climbing uphill around a cambered bend, but it's in your best interest to square off the exit. You'll keep on climbing, and it's a long ways before you get off the power, so your momentum will be important. As you weave through the S's on the backside of the course, hold right and then bleed off your speed through Lukey Heights. It's a balancing act around here, but once you reach the crest, definitely get the car woed up. Try your best to tuck the car in nice and tighty to the apex of MG. You're not out of the woods yet, because you'll need a little feathering on the throttle through the penultimate corner, and then finally you can let it rip from there on out. The final fast sweeper is all about minimizing inputs and carrying your speed onto the front stretch. Hopefully, you won't have to worry about the car behind getting a runoff of your slipstream, but regardless, you've now finished a lap around Phillip Island.
Well, there you see a pretty high-speed lap around the Phillip Island circuit. And Johan, there is a little bit of elevation here, but it's certainly not a trek up and down a mountain like we saw last week.
No, absolutely not. But this is still one of my favorite Australian tracks, though, even though it doesn't have a mountain that you climb. Now, motorsport in Australia, and especially at Phillip Island, has had quite a bit of history. Over 90 years we've been racing here already, and during those years racing at Phillip Island was halted multiple times because of war, financial problems, and required maintenance, but luckily racing always came back. Now in 1988 the current layout was built and is used for basically every motorsport category, from motorcycle races to touring cars and open wheelers. Now, of course, the Lotus 79 didn't officially race around this 4.4 kilometer track, but the track car combination is a lot of fun. Turns like Doohan, the Southern Loop, Lucky Heights, and the final turn require a lot of downforce, but at the same time, straight line speed will be important, as overtaking here can be very difficult. Watch especially for cars getting a good run out of the Southern Loop towards Stoner Corner, going for an overtake into Honda. Now, this all means that qualifying will be essential here today, Nick. But before we go and see where things stand, how about we glance at the details for the race today?
Yeah, qualifying definitely going to be something to watch for here in just a moment. But the race details, as we see now, we are just about halfway through the season. We will be after this race today, round 6 of 12. We have a 36-lap race today as well. Sounds like a bit, but it will go by pretty quick with those high-speed laps around here. Open setups, downforce trimmings are going to be interesting to see today, whether you want some high or some low downforce. And then the incident points. 17 is going to give you a penalty. Watch for those off tracks today. A lot of runoff room in some of these corners. And 25 will boot you from the server. You'll disappear from the session. Johan, the driver's points have shaken up just a little bit after Tim Claeson's run last week at Bathurst. So why don't you run those down for us?
Yeah, well, it's still Mr. Consistent on top. Anthony Pisto scored 240 points this season. With that, he has a magnificent gap to P2 Gernot Frietse. Jamie Hall is just 2 points behind P2 in the championship, so it's very close on the podium. Like you said, Tim Claessens, he has been on a run with 2 victories in the last 2 races, only 84 points behind Antti Lepisto. More importantly, if you keep the drop weeks at the end of the season in mind, Tim Claessens is basically on top, if not in front of Antti, so it's still all to play for. Alex Millward at the moment is rounding out the top 5.
Absolutely, and a little bit of a more fun championship that these drivers like to participate in is the team standings, and it's a little bit tighter up at the top. 10 points only separate the Warsteiner Arrows Racing Team from Auto Delta Alfa Romeo. 18 points back is Martini Racing Team Lotus, and then you have the Williams and Terrell teams back 30 and 44 points. Well, Johan, you mentioned that qualifying is going to be a little bit more essential today than some on other tracks. Passing here tends to be a little bit difficult, as we see Antti Lepisto at the top of the board right now. Yeah,
passing will be very hard. I mentioned Honda Corner, which is the 4th corner of this track. That's probably your best overtaking maneuver, but still, it is an easy track to make a mistake on. If you go a little bit wide, a little bit off the ideal racing line, you just might be able to follow the car, stuff it on the inside and get a pass that way. So I wouldn't be surprised to see overtakes in different corners as well. And as you can see on screen at the moment is Timo Vascalampi. He's sitting in P3. Antti Lepisto has already finished qualifying. He made a mistake in the 2nd lap, and that means that his 1:18.5 will be his only attempt. Going over the line, Vascalampi is not quicker, so he stays in P3 for now.
Vascalampi, this is only his 3rd race this season, had a great run last week at Bathurst, trying to carry that momentum over. There's Gernot Frisch, who has struggled a little bit with this newer tire model, but certainly very fast, 2nd place in the standing.
Yeah, it took a while before he finally started doing qualifying, but look at that, immediately sets his car on pole position, 1:18.3. Good lap from Frisch, and he still has 1 more lap to go, so he will be able to even make that the even sharper time than it currently is at the moment. Martin Gremberg on screen, the Scandinavian, only good enough for P7, and he finished both his qualifying laps. He will stay there.
Jean-Francois Boscus coming around right now. He sits back in 24th. He'll certainly be looking to improve that 25-car field today. Onto the long Gardner Straight. And it is quicker. Not going to bump him up any positions, though. And Timo Vascalampi back on a flyer, it looks like. And Gernot Frisch coming around as well. The DH driver won earlier this year at Sonoma. It is just flat out here in this sector of the track. On the pole with an 18.3. That's going to be an 18.5, a little bit slower. Thankfully, that's not going to bump him back, of course. He sits about 2/10 faster than Antti Lepisto right now. That's going to be everyone. That's going to give Gernot Frisch the pole position here today at Phillip Island. Alongside him, Antti Lepisto, as we see the starting lineup. Now, Nick Tissen and Teemu Vaskalampi are going to be back in row number 2. And 5th place is going to go to Alex Millward, being joined alongside by Jamie Hall. Martin Gronberg, Peter Kuzniski are going to be 7th and 8th. And 9th and 10th go to Rob Olenek and Freek Tenkata.
Carl Villeneuve starts on the inside of row 6. He will be followed by Mike Rassemas. Timothy Reed starts the race in P12, followed by Derek Roeleveld. Dustin Herreder starts the race in P15, and on the outside of row 8 is Ovi Trengerade. Martijn Joon starts the inside of row 9. He's followed by Alexis Tapiafico in P18. Tobias Reuner starts the race in P19, and rounding out the top 20 will be John Stevens.
Some drivers looking for attrition to play into the race today to gain some spots are going to be Keith Herner in 21st, Tony Garcia 22nd, Marc-Andre Dufresne in 23rd, Jean-Francois Boscas 24th, and Juanmi Costa. A little bit surprising to see him all the way back in 25th. They are all going to be looking for some good marches towards the front of the field today. So that will wrap up qualifying, and drivers just about to begin gridding for the 36th lap main event here. Johan, this is certainly going to be a flat-out start for these drivers as they go down into Duhin and into the Southern Loop. It's going to be a little bit sketchy, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, especially in Southern Loop. With the speed that the cars will be approaching Duin Corner, I think maybe a little lift might be enough, maybe a little bit more than that because of cold tires, but especially in Southern Loop where the whole field will just concertina towards each other, that will be one of the danger zones on the first lap, as will Honda Corner be, when all the cars will go from full speed, one of the quickest they will go around the lap, to one of the slowest speeds of the lap.
Still waiting for a couple of our front runners here. Waiting for Lepisto and Frisch. Getting those last second setup tweaks in. We'll certainly have to watch. A lot of these races do tend to be chaotic. And there's Antti Lepisto. And there's Gernot Frisch. So in just a moment, engine's going to start to rev. They'll start to harmonize these classic Lotus 79 machines. Lights are up, and the green flag is out. It's a great jump from Gernot Frisch up at the top of the board. They're going to be marching down into Duin and into the Southern Loop, 3 wide for second place.
Yeah, Lepisto with a poor start. Nick Thiessen immediately on the inside of Duin Corner. There will be the outside in the Southern Loop, and through Southern Loop it will be as it stands. All single foul, as it seems there's a little bit of a P4. Who was that? It was Teemu Vaskalampi going wide, and immediately Alex Millward says thank you very much. He goes up 1 position to P4.
Millward takes that spot in front of him. Nick Tissen's going to be looking around the outside of Antti Lepisto, who goes defensive into Honda Corner. They come through there and onto the gas into Siberia.
A little bit of problem in Honda Corner. Martijn Jonas turned his car around, as had Mike Rassemas. Both of them can continue, it seems like. They will continue at the back of the field.
We'll take a look at that in just a moment, but here in going up into Lukey Heights, this is where the corner gets a little bit blind. Drivers really have to be aware, especially with all these drivers around them. See if everyone makes it through cleanly. I believe they will. Timothy Reed's going to fend off Derek Roeleveld for 13th. And all this happening behind Gernot Frisch, who comes across and completes already lap number 1 here at the island.
Yeah, what a start from Frisch. He was flying from the from his starting position. You would almost think that was exaggerated a little bit by the poor start Antti Lepisto did. He was lucky that the rundown towards turn 1 wasn't very long, because otherwise Thiessen and Vaskalampi would have had a great opportunity to get him for P2. That's it stand. Lepisto is still in P2, but look at the left on our ticker. Over a second, he's already behind Gernot Frisch.
And a pass for 6th place. Rob Olenek was able to get around Martin Gronberg on the outside of the Southern Loop. You can see just how much they have to break down into Honda Corner. It really stacks everyone up. Right behind him, P8 is close as well. Freek Tenkata. Jamie Hall chasing.
Peyton Carter with a good start so far, up 2 positions. And you cannot say the same thing about Jamie Hall, who has lost 3 positions so far. Poor start from Jamie. He's trying his best to find a way by here through Lukey Heights. It's very difficult to get someone. You really need a good exit here through turn 11. Set yourself up to maybe put it side by side over the start finish straight. From the rear here of Peyton Carter, you can see the brown car of Jamie Hall in the background. It doesn't really seem like Jamie is getting a good drive here, Nick. He has to wait a little bit longer before he can fight for P8.
Doesn't seem to be able to find the room around him. Hall was able to master the downforce needed at Mosport in round 2 this year, take the win there. But definitely, like you said, struggling here at the beginning. Started 6th and he's fallen back to 9th.
Side by side, Derek Roeleveld and Timothy Reed for P12. That is side by side through Southern Loop. They're still side by side as they're going towards Stowe in the corner. It will be Timothy Reed who's on the inside, and behind them it is over Trangerate who's trying to profit from these 2 guys fighting. Derek Roeleveld breaks a little bit later as they go through Honda. Almost actually gets a position, but they're still side by side as they're coming out of Honda corner. Now up through Siberia. Now the corner turns in the advantage of Derek Roeleveld, who's on the inside, 180 degrees, and he gets past him as they go on the snaky bit towards Lukey Heights.
Great job by Derek Roeleveld there. Siberia's a little bit of a wider hairpin too. You got to be careful. You can usually hold that on the outside a little bit better than in Honda corner. Timothy Reed, though, he was not allowed to do that. So, drivers getting settled down a little bit. 5th place tightening up a little bit. Teemu Vaskalampi, after a little bit of a poor start from him, he's getting chased pretty significantly by Rob Olenek, who's on a march forward.
Yeah, I'm curious if there's maybe some different kind of setup that Teemu is running that will just click in a little bit better in the latter stages of the race, because at the moment Teemu Vaskalampi is just looking over his shoulder. He's looking backwards. Rob Olenek with a good run out of Southern Loop. I think this is a little bit too far to try it into Honda, Nick. You can see Rob Olenek trying to get a draft, taking a look on the inside, but realizing that's too far to put it side by side.
Yeah, I wonder if Olenek has a little bit of a lower downforce. He was really able to close that gap big time to Teemu on the straightaway. You can see Teemu even going a little bit wider there, trying to hit a later apex. Right behind these two is Martin Gronberg in 7th. Teemu seems to be a little bit slidey here in the beginning stages of this race. Tires still coming up to heat.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like he's struggling with hitting the apexes as well as Rob Olenek is. And you can see that speed-wise, Rob Olenek seems to be a little bit more on it. Both of these drivers are losing quite a bit to Alex Millward in P4 in front of them. Several tenths per lap. Rob Olenek wants to get by him as soon as possible. Up towards Durham corner, he has the speed, but he has to wait. He cannot put it side by side here. Tries to keep as much speed as possible through this quick right-hander. And once again, he's just not close enough to put it side by side. He tries to get close. Different racing line this time around from Rob Olenek, who takes double apex instead of hugging the inside line. That doesn't help him though. Look at the drive that Teemu Vaskalampi gets right now. Several car legs between them, and the team would does everything that he needs to defend P5 for now.
Olenek certainly doing a good job putting a lot of pressure on Teemu. He's spending a lot of time looking in his mirrors. Ove Trangerade, I believe he had an issue. He's getting overtaken by Timothy Reed. That has been done. We'll see a replay of this. What happened back here? This was for 13th place. Ove in that white and red car. He was trying to overtake Timothy Reed. And around the outside. Not able to get it done.
Good try though from Ove Trangerade. Bunch of drivers in this battle actually. You have Timothy Reed and Ove Trangerade behind them. Dustin Herroder, Tony Garcia, Alexis Tapia, Fico. 5 drivers that are almost nose to tail with each other, really close. And if they keep fighting, especially on the front of this train, I wouldn't be surprised to see the 3 behind them throwing it in, mixing it up in there as well.
Yeah, certainly. Especially they come to the southern loop now, and they're going to have a long run down to Honda corner. And a spin from Heroder.
Yeah, through the southern loop there, Dustin Herder just trying his best to stay with the cars in front. Too much speed through the southern loop. And he has to loop it around again. He gets it going, but he is far down the order, all the way down to P23.
We'll ride on board with him. Looks like he was just a little bit too ambitious on the gas. Getting out of the southern loop. Yep. Just not that much downforce for him.
Now, luckily for him, he doesn't have any damage, so he can continue though, but he's a long way behind Joan Costa at the moment. Was riding.
And Heroder leaving that group of 5 has not really broken them up. It's still a group of 4 back here. Being led by Peter Kuzniski in 11th, being chased by Derek Roosevelt. And Traingrade continues to struggle back here. He had a big slide, it looks like. Traingrade finds himself side by side with Garcia. Traingrade, another big slide. Garcia trying to take advantage of this, but he's not able to right now.
Yeah, this is the trademark style that we usually see from over Traingrade when he is driving. He's really loose, and usually that translates to a quick lap time as well, but this time around he's just giving Tony Garcia every opportunity to put it side by side. It all started with a bad exit through the final corner, but through southern loop as well over Traingrade is sliding. And you can see in front of the Norwegian, the gap between him and Timothy Reed is growing and growing. And drivers like Alexis and Tony behind over Traingrade will be thinking we want to pass him as soon as possible because we will be losing the connection with P13 as it goes on.
Yeah, Traingrade, I mean, it looks like he's struggling, but he has actually made up a couple spots from the start. He's made up 2 spots so far, up to 14th. He's got a decent-sized gap, though, up to Timothy Reed for 13th. You can see out the back there, Tony Garcia trying to chase him down. Like you said, that's Alexis Tapiavico right behind Garcia.
Well, let's go behind to the back of the field. Ronnie Costa and Marc-André Dufresne. Battle between them. It seems like Marc-André is just letting one car by. Marc-André with that will relegate 1 position. I think he's now in P22. Joan Costa up 1 position to P24. And it's actually interesting, Nick. Costa was P25 in qualifying, last car on the grid. But in this race, he has been working his way forward. 4 positions up already. And it seems like he's quicker than the cars in front of him. So slowly and steady working his way forward.
Yeah, I think he's certainly got the pace to do it. He just has to have the patience. Jean-Francois Boscus now right in front of him. That would make it 5 spots gained if Costa could get around him. Costa showed a good bit of pace last week at the mountain.
Now on screen at the moment is the battle for P6, P7. Rob Olenek is the one in front of this in the white and the yellow machine. He's currently in P6. Martin Granberg behind in P7. Fretin Katen not far behind as well. These drivers have been battling with each other basically since the beginning of the race. But none of them is really able, like we already predicted at the beginning of the broadcast, Nick, to really put it side by side with the other cars. You really have to wait for a mistake of the driver in front to be able to make moves. At the moment, I think these 3 cars are our closest battle in the top 10, with Rob Olenek, who's under pressure by a Scandinavian and the Benelux driver.
Yeah, Olenek has been on a tear, but he's kind of stalled out here in 6th place. Gronberg, he's moved nowhere. He started 7th, and here he is again in 7th. Fretin Katen trying to move forward again. He's in line. But yeah, like you said, I'm a little bit surprised that the draft is not helping these drivers too much. They're not able to gain on one another as much as I would have thought.
No, you would almost worry a little bit that the drivers are getting some error puts in the corners if they're getting too close to one another. Martin Granberg now with a good run. You can see it. 2 cars ahead of Jamie Hall. Good run through the couple of final corners, but he needs now a good run so he can really drop, really slipstream towards Rob Olenek through the final corner. It seems like he is just about the same pace. I don't think that he really has the advantage though, but if he stays here, gets a little bit of overdrive. You can see now that actually in the draft there's not that much difference speed-wise, just 2-3 kilometers an hour difference in advantage of Rob Olenek. So I think that's the difference in this battle. Rob Olenek maybe with a lower downforce setup, that's keeping him in front of Martin Glenberg and the like, even though those drivers might be quicker when they're driving in their lonesome.
Something else I think that's helping Rob Olenek is I think he's closing in on Teemu Vaskalampi right in front of him. That's helping him set his focus forward. Olenek, though, like you said, he is overdriving just a little bit. You can see little slides. There's a nice lap comparison between Olenek and Vaskalampi. Yeah, not quite able to close in, but certainly still within sight. Just can't lose touch of him. You know, Johan, we were wondering if Gernot Frisch was going to show the dominance and the consistency we've seen before out of him. And today he's certainly proven that he is still capable of winning races and dominating. He's got a 2.3 second lead over Antti Lepisto. And he's led every single lap from the pole so far.
Absolutely. And he's just so consistent at the moment, Frisch. Looking at his lap time, he's just edging out Lepisto a little bit every lap, and that's all that he needs to really just build on that lead that he has. 2.2 seconds at the moment. If he just keeps going on like this, he will be creating a nice buffer where he doesn't really have to worry anything from behind. Now, worrying from behind is something that Nick Thiessen might have to do. Currently the yellow car that you see driving around in P3, because Alex Millward has been closing the gap and putting more and more pressure on the Benelux driver.
Yeah, this could be a big points payout day for Alex Millward. He sits 5th right now, and Tim Claeson's in front of him in the points, not here today. Millward continues to chase him down. Millward had a great start at the beginning of this race. Hasn't been able to go too much further since then. But he is, yeah, like you said, he is stuck right to the back of Nick Thiessen this entire race, it seems.
This area of the track is something that we've seen basically in every battle so far. It is so difficult for drivers to get a good run out of the tight right-hander after looking high. So many cars have too much of a gap to the car in front to really get close for Doorn Corner, get close to Southern Loop, and really fight for each other. So they need to be really brave under braking here through the Southern Loop to close down the gap. But Alex Millward too far behind right now to put any pressure on Nick Thiessen for that P3 position. Let's go back a little bit as we see some close battling I see there.
Yeah, Rob Olenek still under fire back here from Gronberg, Freek Tenkata, and Jamie Hall, who's kind of joined the picture a little bit more recently. This is a 4-car train from 6th back to 9th. Johan, they're all stuck together, but they can't get around one another.
Absolutely, it seems like all the drivers are just. It almost seems like a race where you just have to wait for the last moment to really strike. The way that they're behaving, but I think that they're not waiting for the last moment to strike. I just think they're really struggling getting a car side by side. Like you see on screen, this is one of the best battles that we have, one of the closest battles that we have. Especially Jamie Hall mixing it in. There might be interesting. Freek Tenkata with a bad run through the penultimate corner. Might that actually give Jamie Hall an opportunity now over the start-finish straight? It seems like these two cars are close, but Jamie Hall in the final quarter just tracks out a little bit too much. And that's his run. Ruin 2 cars ahead of them. Martin Grunberg gets closer to Rob Olenek, but also there it seems just too far away from each other to really put it side by side.
So hard to judge your speed. Oh, and a big slide from Jamie Hall back there. Just saying, so hard to judge where you're going to turn in these corners. He shows that perfectly. Looks like he just touched the dirt. Johan, at the very beginning of this race, you mentioned we had a little bit of an incident on lap 1. I think we've actually still got a replay of that.
Yeah, let's go back to that incident. That incident actually saw the exit of Martijn Jo, and he's the only retirement of today. It all started when they got towards Honda Corner. If we go, especially focus on Timothy Wheat in this crash. Timothy Wheat is the car just, the black car just next to Martijn Joon there. Those two cars will have contact, and it will create a concertina effect where also Mike Rasmussen will be hit hard there. If we go from the blimp, we can really see it from the helicopter. We can see it one more time. Now, especially Martijn Joon was hit hard in that crash. He seems to have so much damage that he couldn't continue his race. Mike Rasmussen and Timothy Reed are still continuing there. With a hard hit there in Honda corner. That was the concertina effect that we talked about before the race, Nick. Just all those cars starting to brake, starting to slow down in one of the slow parts of the track. And well, a crash like that is almost unpreventable.
Yeah, certainly a lot of damage for those drivers involved. Back live, we had a little bit of a battle for P7. Martin Gronberg was really under fire from Freak Tenkata, and still is. While we were looking at the replay, Tenkata almost got side by side with him through the southern loop. Not quite able to get it done, though.
Actually, a nice battle heating up a little bit further down the field. P22, that is Mike Rasmussen, one of the drivers that we saw. Actually, a crash a little bit, or spin a little bit in front of them. Alexis Tapia Vico has spun it around to frozen back on track, just in front of the battle that we were looking at. Luckily for Marc-André Dufresne, he actually avoided that, but Alexis Tapia Vico lost several positions. And let's see in the replay what happened there.
John Stevens was the one that had to slide to the infield grass there. Juan Micosta is that white car that tried to split him, and I think he's going to have a little bit of front wing damage. He definitely does after his contact with John Stevens.
Yeah, I don't think that John Stevens could do anything to avoid the contact with Jean Costa there. He did everything he could by swinging it on the grass. On screen now we see that spin from Vico, and here on board with Stevens, just sliding it to the inside, avoiding it. When he gets back on track, he just collects the car behind. Not a lot that he could do. Let's hope that Costa actually can continue with a little bit of damage. It seems like he's not going into the pits. It seems like he actually has a battle with John Stevens at the moment. John Stevens on the inside towards Honda corner. Juan Costa takes a look now on the inside, but he doesn't brake as late. But in front of him, Stevens brakes too late. And Costa says thank you. He gains one position. He's now in P18.
Pretty impressive with that damage on the front wing for Costa to chase back down John Stevens and get around him. Keith Herner also able to get around both of them. That's the car right in front of those two.
Let's take a look at P3, because Alex Millward is making some gains on Nick Thiessen. I don't think that he's close enough to try it here in Duan corner, but he is a lot closer than he was a couple of laps ago. Only 2/10 in this battle for the final podium position. And now let's see if Alex Millward can get a good run through Southern Loop. He hugs the apex a little bit more than the car in front, slides also a little bit more, but he gets all the run that he needs, Nick, to make it a battle going into Honda.
These curbs are very friendly. He uses all of it, swings a little bit wide there. Hard on the brakes for both of them. Tucked up right underneath that yellow rear wing of Nick Thiessen, but not quite able to get the speed. They both try to swing it wide and hit a late apex through Siberia, and they get a good run up the hill. Pretty even.
Yeah, it almost feels like Millward has wasted the opportunity that he had to put it side by side through Honda there. He just couldn't get the same amount of grip, I think, through Stoner corner. So he swung wide maybe a little bit too early, and that meant that he didn't have enough speed to put it side by side. But Nick Thiessen failing to slow it down properly for the hairpin now. That might give another opportunity to Alex Millward. Alex Millward behind, he is hugging the apex more through the final corner. This time around it seems like there's a little bit more of a distance between the two drivers. Millward needs to be even more perfect than he was last time around if he wants an opportunity to threaten Nick Thiessen for that podium position. Through Duan corner, through Southern Loop. Let's see who is more brave on braking. It seems like Alex Millward is, as Nick Thiessen is just completely going wide there. Will that actually give him some more speed on the rundown? Doesn't look like it. 2 car lengths between these two. And Alex Millward, this is the opportunity that you've been waiting 17 laps for here at Phillip Island. Going wide again, but again, just not having enough speed to put it side by side. Nick Thiessen wide a little bit through Honda corner, but not enough for Alex Millward to get an opportunity.
It seems like through Stoner corner, he's really struggling there. Millward is. He's just not able to keep the slipstream and keep the momentum.
It's good to see that Alex Millward can follow the way he is doing at the moment, because he's putting Nick Thiessen in parts of the track where Nick doesn't want to.
We had a problem further back. This was Marc-Andre Dufresne, Mike Rosimus, and Alexis Tapia-Vico all getting into each other.
Yeah, it all started with the car in front, Marc-Andre Dufresne just losing it here in Southern Loop. It was Mark Rasmus trying to get it slowed down to avoid him, and behind that, Vico couldn't avoid or just brake a little bit too late and tapped Rasmus.
Going to be significant contact for all of them. We'll watch on board with Vico. You can see just absolutely not expecting Rasmus to slow down that much right in his line. Nothing, nowhere he could go. And Peter Koniski getting past.
Now it seems like he actually wanted to do some passing. He tried it on the inside of a Doohan corner there.
He was trying to get around Derek Roeleveld right in front of him, not quite able to get it done. You'll see here through turn one, Doohan. That is tight. Let's go on board. Get a good visual of what he was dealing with in the cockpit there.
So incredibly close between the two drivers. Look, there's not a string of grass that you can keep between them. But I have to applaud Roeleveld for his amazing sensibility in this battle. He knew that if he kept it on the outside of Doohan, he would have the inside through the Southern Loop, and by positioning himself there, he managed to stay in front of Peter Koniski in that battle. Well done.
Yeah, great combination of both awareness and bravery there for Roeleveld. Koniski probably shocked himself that he wasn't able to get around the number 22, and once again finds himself right behind him.
Let's go back to the P3 battle, because that one is still heating up. Well, heating up. It's not getting warmer. It still seems like Alex Millward is just close to Nick Thiessen, but is not able to put it side by side once again through Honda. This is really the point where these two cars are closest through this area of the track. Hey, Shed. It seems like Alex Millward is just too far to really try it in Lukey Heights. I also think that you don't really want to try it in Lukey Heights. You just want to have a good run through this corner. Get it slowed down so you're close in front, behind your competitor. Once you go for the start-finish straight through the hairpin here. A great exit from Nick Thiessen here. He gets 2 free car lengths between himself and Alex Millward, and Alex actually struggling to get a power run. You can see him slipping and sliding. And that runs all the opportunity that Millward would have had this lap. He has to work now on closing that gap once again between himself and Nick Thiessen.
You know, one thing we've been seeing these drivers struggling with grip quite a bit, of course, not too uncommon for this vehicle, but the weather out there is a little bit unique. A pretty clear day, 78 degrees Fahrenheit on temperature, but a little bit cooler. I think the wind here is most significant. We see there it was 10 miles an hour.
Sorry,
kind of gusting.
Let's go to P11, because Peter Koniski actually did get a pass on Derek Roeleveld this time around. Once again, he did it in the same position as he tried last time. Let's go to a replay, because this was a great move from Koniski. Actually, maybe stay with the battle a little bit longer, because Derek Roeleveld seems to be close by. Can he get it side by side through Honda corner? No, it's actually Koniski. It's completely outbrakes himself. This time he doesn't have a car in front, so he misses maybe the braking point that he normally has. Side by side to Siberia. Koniski is still on the inside. He can repair his mistake and stay in front in P11. Derek Roeleveld has to follow now, but what an overtake it was from Koniski. We go to a replay of that moment, because over the start-finish straight, Nick, it seemed like Koniski just had everything prepared and tested last time around.
He has definitely been taking notes. This is through Doohan when they were very close last time. You can see Koniski able to get in front of him, but that isn't all, because like you said, they're going to have a flat-out run down through Stoner and into Honda corner. And that's where Koniski is going to make his mistake, but it's not going to be a fatal flaw, because Siberia is where the track will switch back in his favor. There you see he outbrakes himself, but it's not over. There he comes back on the inside.
And that mistake that Koneski made, I can understand that so well. When you follow, who actually Koneski is getting loose in the sudden loop right now. This is a Constantino effect for all those cars behind him. Look behind him. It's also Timothy Reed and over Trengray. Those are the final two in this battle. But that mistake, that slide of Koneski through the sudden loop will give Derek Grunewald an opportunity towards Honda. He's on the outside. That's not the place where you want to be. But wow, what is Derek Grunewald late there under braking? But he almost outbrakes himself and then gives Koneski the opportunity to stay in front. Great battle between these four drivers for P11.
Konieski's going to give him a little bit of room, though, here through the left-hander. Grunewald almost able to get underneath him. Konieski keeps the position. Behind them, Timothy Reed and Ove Trengray have to be careful not to get too involved in this battle.
Especially Timothy Reed, he is a driver that has been quick, but also a little bit inconsistent in his lap times, and he is now really wanting to profit from this battle in front of them. It is Konieski with a very slow apex speed through the hairpin, and that actually bunches all of them up, but it allows Derek Grunewald to not have a good exit and Timothy Reed behind him to have one. I think that Derek Grunewald will be under pressure now, Nick, as they go towards Duhan.
I think you're right. I think Timothy Reed's going to put a lot of pressure on him. Down into turn one, the fast right-hander of Duhan corner. Gets right down onto the curb through the banking. Oh, and Reed's going to have to back off a little bit. He's going to come back at him. Not going to have the track to do it.
He slides so much though for Duhan that I would say that gives an opportunity to overtriangulate, but he tracked out a little bit too much, and I think that this is settled at least for the coming corner. Derek Grunewald brakes very late. It seems like Konieski and Grunewald are just both late on the braking through Honda. And both made a slight mistake. It doesn't mean that anyone can profit.
They might be getting a little bit impatient. One driver who has not been impatient at all today, Gernot Frisch. Let's take another look at him. He's 3 seconds now ahead of the rest of the drivers. Onto the pista is still in second. A dominant performance. He's out for a Sunday drive along the Bass Strait in Australia.
Yeah, it seems like all the podium battles have died down a little bit. Nick Thiessen as well in P3 is slowly driving away from Alex Millward. After that mistake of Alex Millward a few laps ago, it doesn't seem like he really could repair that and close down the gap to Nick Thiessen. And you can see on screen that the gap has grown to around 1 second with 13 laps remaining. It's not game over for Alex Millward, but he does need to find a little bit of race pace to close down the gap to the Dutch driver in front.
As we stepped away, Ove Trengray was able to get around to Timothy Reed for 13th. This was quite a ways back. I think it was through Lukey Heights, actually.
Yeah, even before that, through Hayshed even. And it always because Timothy Reed was just not comfortable with the way he was getting the power down. He was slipping and sliding all the way through out of Siberia. But even in the corners of Hayshed, he was still sliding. That gave over Trengray all the momentum and the opportunity that he needed to get that position. At the moment, Timothy Reed was just not able to close. Here you can see on the left, one slide through the next corner will be another slide. And that's all that over Trengray needs to put a nose on the inside. And even before they reach Lukey Heights, the Norwegian already has won that position.
So we'll have to keep an eye on those two. Ove Trengray looks like he might be able to pull away a little bit. Going to be chasing down Derek Grunewald and Peter Konieski for 11th and 12th. There might be a little bit of a battle for 7th place. Martin Gronberg trying to fend off Freak Ten Kats still.
Yeah, interestingly enough, Martin Granberg has lost the connection to Rob Olenek. So good job from Rob. And at the same time, Freek ten Kate is trying to close down the gap to the car in front. But like we've seen basically all race long in the battle between these two drivers and the one before behind them, they just cannot get it closed out enough that they can put it side by side. And Freek ten Kate is just trying to find a way to pass Martin Granberg. Last time around, he was actually a tenth slower than Granberg. So let's keep an eye on this battle once it progresses, especially if Freek ten Kate is able to stay with Martin Granberg, with the Scandinavian driver in front is able to drive slowly away.
Yeah, Rob Olenek, we saw him drive away a little bit ahead of him, but not quite enough to chase down Teemu. Teemu Vaskilampi in 5th place has really pulled away significantly. There you see them on the front stretch here. Gardner straight.
Oh, look at the speed that Tenkate has.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, he closed down the gap by a bit. He has to slide for doing that to avoid the car in front, but also keep the power down, and that means that the line that he has to take through Southern Loop is completely suboptimal. It seems like the Dutch driver is just losing a lot of momentum there. But he has a lot of straight line speed, and that's an interesting, maybe a setup choice actually from Tenkate. To set up his car that way, and that also might mean that he's just lacking the downforce required to close down through the corner so he can swing by Martin Grenberg at the end of the straight.
Definitely seems to be a popular issue here today. 11th place is closed up once again. Derek Roeleveld right on the back of Peter Kaniski.
Yeah, good battle between these two drivers. Roeleveld, I was worried when he got overtaken like a few laps ago. If this will mean that Kaniski was able to just drive away from the Canadian driver, but as it stands, Roeleveld is just able to stay with him and maybe even put Kaniski under pressure. Kaniski is missing his braking points sometimes. I don't know if that's because he's now driving without a marker in front of him, or if Roeleveld is just unnerving him just enough to put a little bit of pressure on him.
Yeah, and we've seen these two make a couple of mistakes hitting their braking points before. So definitely not game over yet, with about 10-11 laps to go for these two. And Roner has had an issue. Tobias Roner getting under pressure, actually, sorry. Putting Tony Garcia under threat for 15th place. Tony Garcia, he's been in his fair share of action today. And he's going to look to the inside. That's Roner. Going off track as well, missing his point entirely. A valiant effort, but it's not going to pay off, as we're going to take a look at this again from another look.
You're saying valiant, I say courageous. What a move from Tobias Roner to just try it there. He had such a great run through Southern Loop, and that's really the place that you have to try it though, through Stoner Corner. Look, you can see it on board with him, how much more speed he has than the car in front. And well, the thing that he's doing, which Alex Millward is not doing, just staying in there as long as possible, swing it to the inside, but then he does make his miss his braking point slightly, and well, that sets him back 4-5 seconds in that battle. He doesn't have to fear anything from the cars behind, but it will be a while before Thomas Roeder can put Tony Garcia under pressure again.
Yeah, no positions lost for Roner except the one he was trying to gain there, and no damage, so he should be all right. But yeah, like you said, a lot of ground lost, of course. And Timothy Reed has gone around. Or no, sorry, not Reed.
Yeah, Timothy Reed in that battle with Over Trangrade. He had lost the position. He was doing everything he could to get it back. Well, he had a great run through Doorn Corner. We go to a replay of that incident. Just look at the right set tires of Timothy Reed, because he had such a good run. He was setting himself up through an attack, maybe in the Southern Loop. But on the exit of Doorn, he just positions his car too far to the right, loops it around. And that's the end of the battle of Timothy Reed and Over Trangrade. Timothy actually gets past by Tobias Roner and Tony Garcia. So he, instead of winning a position, he loses 2. He is now back in P60.
Yeah, he was getting a little bit too greedy with how much room was left on the track out there. You see at the top right of the screen, Gernot Frisch goes purple. He's got another fastest lap. He's got a 3.5 second lead now over Antti Lepisto.
How about we put the camera on 2 drivers that we haven't talked that much about today? Is the battle for P17, Keith Burner. He has actually made an overtake a few laps ago on Joan Costa. He is now leading the Iberian driver in that battle for 17th position. A little bit of front wing damage for Juan Costa. That will not help him get enough straight line speed and downforce, so he felt the speed and downforce that he needs here through Southern Loop. It seems like the Iberian driver is quick though. A few corners ago they were virtually nose to gearbox, Oh, and in front of them I see smoke. That's another spin, and that's again Timothy Reed. Again in the southern loop, spins it around. This will really hurt Timothy Reed, Nick. He loses 3 positions.
Yeah, Timothy Reed he was thankful for all that runoff here through the southern loop, but he got stuck in the gravel out there, and that definitely helped him to lose positions. Not what he wants to see again after his first spin. And we also had problems with Ove Trengerade, I believe, during that.
Yeah, and that's a really weird incident, because actually nothing happened with Ove Trengerade. He just went straight at a Honda corner this lap, parked his car, and it seems like maybe there's some other issues stopping Ove Trengerade's bid for victory today. Shame for the Norwegian, who had a good run in P12. Speaking about P12, let's go a few positions in front of them. Peter Koneski once again under pressure by Derek Hoeleveld. Once again through Doorn corner and southern loop. Koneski taking a very, very wide line through southern loop. That's not what you want. That's too far there.
Koneski has just been harassed all day by Derek Hoeleveld for this position. He's got to be tired of seeing that car in his mirrors. But I'm sure he'd rather see it in his mirrors than out in front. And he's done a good job of keeping him there so far today.
Now the car in front of them, the white and orange car, that's the car of Freek ten Kate. I was actually wondering what happened with him. We have missed it, we don't have to go to it, but a few laps ago he got the exit of southern loop all wrong. He took a trip through the grass. That sent the Dutch driver a few positions down. He's now in P10. A long way ahead is Carl Villeneuve, who's in P9. So it seems like Freek ten Kate just made a mistake in that battle with Martin Gramberg, who came out losing it.
Hoeleveld has lost a little bit of touch with Koneski. We'll see what kind of run he gets down Gardner Straight. Koneski has just not let anyone through today. And gets a decent look through the southern loop, but not going to be enough, I don't think. Kind of overdrives it to get there. That'll hurt him here as they head down through Stoner and down into the hard-braking Honda corner.
Well, let's go back to P15, because that's a really nice battle at the moment. Keith Herner, P15, Juanmi Costa, P16. Actually, give some love to Juanmi Costa, because I was looking at him. What a race he has had so far. He's up 9 positions, starting last on the grid. He has completely made up all that lost time in qualifying. This is a great race from Herner. If you can get by Keith Herner, that's a massive 10 positions gained here at Phillip Island. That's not really a track we usually see 10 positions gained, unless you see a lot of attrition during the race. Costa is trying it left and right, like we saw a few laps ago. He's just not able yet to put Keith Herner under enough pressure to put it side by side. Through Lucky Heights at the moment. Trying to get it slowed down through the right-hander hairpin. Loses touch a little bit. But you need a good run here. Costa is the one able to touch the apex. It means that you have a better run through the penultimate corner, and that will probably mean that you get a slightly better run through the final corner as well. Costa seems to be quick around this part of the track. Will this be enough to put it side by side through the first corner? It seems like he has more speed at the moment. A few kilometers an hour more than Herner. Does that mean that he has enough to put it side by side? I think he's just too far to put it side by side here. Through southern loop, he takes a look on the inside, but he opts in to stay behind it. Just tucks his nose in the gearbox of Herner. And now he needs a good run as they go towards Honda, Nick.
Let's not forget Juanmi Costa dealing with quite a bit of front wing damage as well. Doing great to stay. Oh, a little bit of hesitation there. He was going to look low. Thought better of it. Thought he might run into the back of Herner. And there's a car behind them that's stopped. That's John Stevens who had an issue.
Yeah, it was in Honda corner. John Stevens was all alone. He wasn't under pressure from any other driver, but just under braking. It seems like he couldn't get his car slowed down. We see it here on replay. Will be not the next corner, but the one after that. Stoner corner here. Then it's Honda. And under braking, you can see the red and white car just not getting it slowed down, taking a trip through the grass, losing 1 position to Timothy Reed in the process.
So back up in front of him, Keith Herner continues to hold off Juanmi Costa. They're back on the Gardner straight. It'll be 5 laps to go for them this time by. A little peek to the inside from Costa. Is he going to have the bravery or the run? Not quite yet.
Yeah, but he hasn't been there. Oh, Herner braking on the grass. That will not get your car slowed down, man. Impressive how Herner still got his car slowed down on the grass, but he's very, very loose for the exit of Southern Loop. Now this is what Juanmi Costa has been waiting for. He's less than the car length. He puts his nose on the inside of Stone, the corner. They will give him the inside now, but the outside has to go through Honda. He has to be late and very confident on the brakes. Cars are still side by side, and both of them get it slowed down on time. Juanmi Costa able to hang it around the outside. Almost gets the power, not down enough, and he stays there. Stays on the inside through Siberia. Again loose, slides himself in front of Keith Herner there, and he gets the position. That's P15 for Costa, who gets a bad run immediately out of Siberia there. And for Hayes there, they're still side by side for Lucky Heights. This is the first time we see that today, Nick. But
absolutely incredible racing between these two. I think that's just going to get settled down a little bit more. As a little bit behind them, Timothy Reed has spun. Don't have to go there yet because Juanmi Costa is still trying to fend off Keith Herner through 11 and 12. I think he's going to have it.
Absolutely, Herner is not close enough to put a bet on. Let's go to the spin of Timothy Reed. Timothy Reed having a horrible last few laps at the moment. What happened with him this time around? It was through Lucky Heights. And just in the middle of the corner, not able to get enough grip. Slowly looping it around.
Kind of backed it down the hill through the grass. His tires have got to be shot at this point. Lots of flat spots on those things. So it looks like drivers pretty much all around the track able to breathe a little bit more, as just with about 3 to go now, not too many battles left. Peter Kaniski and Derek Roeleveld, I believe, are the closest two on track, still for 11th place.
Yeah, it's fun to put the camera on them once again, because these two drivers have been entertaining us with a lot of their battling today. Roeleveld is now tracking Kaniski. Oh, Kaniski actually getting a big wobble there out of the final corner. I don't really know what happened with the blue car there. But he will lose a lot of speed, and that might actually give Roeleveld the connection that he was longing for in the last few laps through the first corner here. Doohan, he's getting closer, but through the southern loop, I don't think that he's close.
Oh, another slide.
Actually. Yeah, another slide. It seems like maybe Kaniski is struggling with his tires as well. With only a few more laps to go, and look at Roeleveld. He was 5-6 car lengths behind a few moments ago. Now it's only 2 car lengths. In the draft, it seems like Kaniski is defending the inside of Honda a little bit, and that will ruin his corner towards Siberia. Actually outbrakes himself, but Roeleveld is not able to capitalize on that mistake.
Roeleveld needs Kaniski to make more mistakes like that, because we've seen Roeleveld kind of struggle with a little bit of corner exit so far, especially in turn 12 onto the Gardner straight. He hasn't been able to get a good run out of there. Kaniski, though, he's got to stop out braking himself. So these guys both, I think, are struggling for grip.
Ooh, a lot of blocked tires there as he tries to get it slowed down for the right hairpin. That was Kaniski who was doing that. That might actually give the Roeleveld another opportunity. He's a lot closer than he was last time around. They went through the final corner, and with the draft, he might actually be able to slow the gap down, close the gap down. It's Roeleveld getting closer to the blue and white car of Peter Kaniski in front of them. Remind you, this is the battle for P11. These two drivers have been going at it basically all race with each other. It was Roeleveld in front for a very long time. Now he's been relegated to 12th place, but he's keen on getting that position back through the southern loop. It seems like the Canadian once again is getting a good run out of this corner and having slightly more speed than Kaniski in front of him, but through Honda, through Stoner there. Once again, not close enough, but Kaniski once again slightly outbrakes himself. Once again, he's not touching the apex. Roeleveld gets close, but just not gets it side by side.
He might have another shot there. Kaniski almost opened the door through Siberia for Roeleveld. Derek, of course, is going to be looking for any opportunity with about a lap and a half left for these drivers. All this happening behind Gernot Frisch, coming around for the white flag. Actually, on his white flag lap now.
Konieski struggling again in the penultimate corner, getting a little bit loose. I think he has one more opportunity there, Derek Roeleveld. That's maybe into Southern Loop and for sure in Honda, but he needs to close the gap down if he wants to profit from that. We can follow him through doing it through the Southern Loop, I hope. Let's see if the Canadian can close the gap and put it side by side. There's 3 car lengths between these 2 cars. Both swinging it through the first corner, not getting it close enough. Both of these cars hugging the apex through Southern Loop. He needs a good exit here. The Roeleveld slides a little bit. He's further behind than 1 lap ago.
And just a few more turns for Gernot Frisch. A dominant performance, just as we saw from Tim Claeson's last week at Bathurst. Another Australian track this week, but it's going to be a different driver headed to victory lane, and it's going to be Gernot Frisch taking home his 2nd win of the season in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. Let's come back to that P11 battle. Konieski trying to hold off Derek Roeleveld. A couple more turns for them. Struggling with grip through Lukey Heights. One more shot at it underneath him, not able to get there.
Oh, I love how Roeleveld was trying that. He knew that that was his last opportunity. He gave it his all, but Konieski knew that he was coming. He defended tremendously there. Great battle between these 2 drivers, but in the end, Peter Konieski will come home with P11, and Derek Roeleveld, he has to settle at Phillips Island for P12.
What a great drive from Peter Konieski to hang on to that position all 36 laps long. Don't see too many battles coming across the line, so that is going to do it here from Phillip Island. But don't go anywhere. When we come back, we've got a full rundown of results and driver interviews. Welcome back to the Phillip Island circuit here in southeastern Australia, where we had a couple of really exciting and intense battles all around the track, but one driver who didn't see any action today was the winner, Gernot Frisch, who comes home on top. Antti Lepisto and Nick Tisson are going to round out your podium. Alex Millward and Timu Vaskalampi will round out your top 5. Behind them, Rob Olenek, he was able to drive away up 3 positions today. in 6th place. 7th place goes to Martin Gronberg, Jamie Hall, and Carl Villeneuve 8th and 9th. And Freak Tenkata, another good drive from him. He's going to finish in 10th.
P11 will be for Peter Konieski. He did a heavy battle with Derek Gruleveld. Derek Gruleveld coming home in P12. Tony Garcia, one of the hard chargers today, up 9 positions from 22 to 13th place. Tobias Reuner comes home in 14th in front of Keith Herner and Juan Luis Costa. John Stevens, the red and white machine, finishes in P17 in front of Alexis Tapiavico. Timothy Reed started well this race, but the end was rather unfortunate. Finishes in P19 and the top 20 is finished out by Dustin Herreder.
And a pretty impressive drive because we only had 3 DNFs out of the 25 drivers today. Mike Rasmus is going to be the last one on the lead lap. Marc-Andre Dufresne is going to finish in front of Trengrade, Boskus, and Yoon. We are being joined now by our winner today, Gernot Frisch. That was an exciting race for us to call, but probably not so much for you.
Probably, yes, yeah. Fortunately, I managed to make up a little bit of a gap in the beginning, which was vital because I knew that Antti was running a little bit slower downforce than me. So if he would have got into the lead, it would have been a much more difficult race for me.
Yeah, I was wondering about the setup difference. You said you had a little bit less downforce than, or a little bit more downforce, than most of the other drivers, you think?
Yeah, I think so, a little bit more because in the race before that one, Antti got into the lead and I was really struggling to overtake him even with the slipstream on the straight. So it was a complicated race.
It certainly looked like it helped you quite a bit. We noticed with the weather a little bit that it was a little bit windy at times. Did you feel much of that in the car?
Not really. It's really hard to say from inside the car. Sometimes maybe if you overshoot the corner a little bit, you think maybe that might have been wind, but you never really know.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one track that we are going to next week, which is going to be very interesting to see, where downforce, I think, is going to play a big factor, is the Indianapolis road course. How you feeling going into there?
Well, I don't really know. I definitely love Phillip Island because it has such a good flow, and even if it's a low downforce track. So Indianapolis will be another low downforce track probably. I've never done that track with a new tire model. It's not so bad for racing with the long straights, but usually I like the technical tracks and not those with low downforce.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting to see. It's going to be very exciting for us. Maybe not for you, but hopefully you can get a good deal of practice in before then. Before we let you go, Gernot, congratulations on your win today. 2nd on the year. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
No, thanks to you guys for doing really great broadcasts every single week. So it's always a pleasure to watch it afterwards. And congrats to Antti and Nick for the podiums. See you guys.
Certainly a pleasure to be up in the booth calling these fun races. That was Gernot Frisch, winner today at Phillip Island. We want to give a special thank you to everyone who came out today for the 6th round in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, including all the drivers who put on the show for us today. In additional thanks to all the amazing companies that provide the software and hardware that we use to create a GSRC production for you. We also, of course, want to thank the very talented June Lalonde, who provides our music. See the screen for more on how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the crew today in the booth, Johan, Joe, and Dougie. Don't forget to check out the GSRC on social media. You can look at our website on globalsimracingchannel.com, on Twitter at GSR Channel, on Facebook, Global Sim Racing Channel, on Instagram at GSRC_gram, and of course, you already found our YouTube channel, so I would recommend, if you want some more great racing like this, scroll down just a touch and hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss a second. Make sure to join us and the Weekend Warriors Spec Racer Ford Series at Sonoma at 3:45 Eastern today. That action is going to be live over on the iRacing Esports Network. And to see more of today's racing, we're going to be back next Sunday around 7, same time, but like I just said, different track, the Indy GP course. Finally, with all that being said, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.